Pritchard. This is my GIST capstone 909 project titled Child's Play. It is a look into the availability of parks across the city of Phoenix. So first off, the city of Phoenix, as you see here, about central Arizona. And then on the other side of that, a view of the actual boundary of the city of Phoenix within the Greater Valley area. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country, currently about 1.6 million people per the current census. Fun fact, it is the only state capital in the United States with over 1 million people. My data I used the census data from the United States Census Bureau. I used the ones for Maricopa County at the census tract level, and then broke it down into the city of Phoenix using the clip tool. The attributes I used were age and sex, race, Hispanic and Latino origins, and income, and used Esri for the city of Phoenix boundaries and the tools that are used to create all the maps. How I made those maps. So I took the data from the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation websites, specifically looking only for parks that had either a playground, a sports area, so a court or a field where kids can play. I was also looking at splash pads or pools. So specifically looking for areas that children might be able to play or have access to safe areas to play when they can. So then I went on to Google Earth using the address locations from the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation website to get a degree decimal point for these parks, took that information and put it into an Excel spreadsheet, moved that Excel spreadsheet into ArcPro using the Display XY tool. And that's how I came about with that location of all 153 parks across the city of Phoenix. This research kind of came about, I was reading in an article from the Trust for Public Lands, where currently about a third of US residents don't have access to a park within a 10-minute walk. That's about half a mile, it boils down to. They are a fantastic nonprofit organization. Since 1972, they have produced about 5,000 outdoor spaces, trying to get their mission to the entire country to be within a 10-minute walk of these green spaces by 2050. And I think it's a fantastic organization doing some great good for not just children, but the whole country. 1989, the UN convened on the rights of children, and that is, as of right now, the entire world is signed and ratified on this. The only country not ratified is actually the United States. But the UN convened and said that children have the right to rest and leisure, to engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to their own age. And I agree with that. I have 2 young kids myself. I think it's a fantastic thing for them to have the ability to play when they want. So I broke these down, ethnic groups. So the black dots are the park locations. On the left, we have the white populations. On the center, we have Hispanic only population, and on the right, African American population. This is also, the dark red is a 0.67% to 1% is, or not 1%, sorry, 67% to 100% of the population is that ethnicity or race. The kind of middle color is between 33 and 66%, and the lighter color is between 0 and 33%. And then this is broken down, as we see Hispanic, this is just those ages under 9. So as we see, Hispanic is the overwhelming majority of the population under the age of 9 within the city of Phoenix, about twice as big as the white population, which in turn is about twice as big as other and all those other combined barely reach up to the white population. So as we see, Hispanic is the majority population in the city of Phoenix, and it's about split 50-50 female male, a little more on the male side, but pretty evenly split 50-50 male female. And then with this, took a comparison of the white and Latin populations within the city of Phoenix. The lighter blue, the heavier color it is, meaning higher concentration. It's again percentage. I really prefer using percentages versus actual numbers, just with the discrepancy of numbers. So I really prefer to use the percentages on things. And this is a comparison of the percentages between white and Hispanic populations within the city of Phoenix. I took a hotspot analysis of those parks, and that is the kind of crisscrossed pattern on this map, along with a medium income per households ratio there. So green, higher population or higher income, average income for the census tract. As you can see, those parks not very centered on those areas of higher income, really centered around lower economic areas. And on the left here, we have I took the census tract areas without parks. They have a mean average income of about $61,000 a year, whereas the census tracts without the parks is a mean income of about $77,000. So the city of Phoenix does seem to do a good job with providing parks to those of lower socioeconomic ability. So there doesn't appear to be much discrepancy socioeconomically with those parks. And again, this is just breaking down by, I arbitrarily chose $60,000. On the left here, we see under $60,000, quite a lot of those parks deep within that area of the majority of people making, or the majority of households making under $60,000. So again, the city of Phoenix seems to do a really good job, economically speaking, on its ability to provide parks for its citizens. As mentioned earlier, I also split this into water play or splash pads and pools. The reason I did this is because as of right now, drowning is the leading cause of death among children, or second leading between the ages of 5 and 14. And receiving swimming lessons can reduce that risk by up to 88%. The city of Phoenix has programs with all of its public pools to provide swimming lessons, not just for children, but for adults. So giving its citizens the ability to learn how to swim could really save lives throughout the entire city. And then these are the two main population centers, white and Hispanic. Again, this is just under 9, and the location of those parks with a pool or splash pad in them within the city. If you remember from the map with the economic issue centered really in the center of Phoenix, quite a lot of those pools, community pools, public pools for the citizens to use. And here is that map with the household income again. As mentioned, a lot of those pools really centered in the lower economic regions. Average income for those with a pool within 1 mile, really heavily on the between 29 and 41,000. And as you get up to the making over $100,000 a year household, a lot less people have a pool within a mile. But the flip side, they're more likely to have one in their own backyard, or more likely to have access to a pool center around them. I also broke down the size of the park. This was just taken from the City of Phoenix website. It lists the acreage of all their parks. And I took this just as the full population of the city and economically speaking. Some of those larger parks, again, seem to be centered in that kind of central south region of the city, where a lot more of those lesser economic values were. However, where the majority of the population is, the north and the west, it does not appear to have those large parks, which might lead to overcrowding of these parks. You see, especially in the north, where there is those two economic tracts of about 10,000 people, there's not many parks between them. So what parks they do have might be very crowded. And especially if we take a look over on the income of the household, those areas are not, they're about middle, especially that very top one, medium income, a very middle ground in there. So those parks nearby could be very crowded. So to conclude, as far as I can tell, the city of Phoenix does not appear to be overtly biased against any particular race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status in its location of its parks. But when compared to the Trust for Public Lands trying to get the majority of the nation near a park, there is still a lot of work to do. There is still a lot of access issues for a lot of the people within the city. Future research that probably should be done on this, something that I couldn't just do myself. I would like to see further research on the quality of these parks. I'm sure a lot of these parks when they're smaller and are being used by a lot of people might be more run down. They could have a lot less maintenance on them continuously. And I think one way to help with this would be if the city of Phoenix had an app on their website that people could log into and take pictures of these locations to present to the city, like, hey, there's some graffiti on here, or hey, this swing is busted up. Rather than right now, what happens is the park rangers kind of come by and note things however often they come by, but you have people who are there every day, all day, use that resource. The people know their parks best. And thank you for being present at this presentation. It's a topic that I think needs a lot of attention to. Kids should be allowed to be kids and play where they want to. And then the Trust for Public Land website, a fantastic organization that does a lot of great work, not just for kids, but for the whole country as a whole. And then the location of all the parks can be found on the City of Phoenix Parks website. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?